If you ever said something like me gusta nadando for I like swimming or gracias por viniendo, thanks for coming, please watch this video because you are doing it wrong and we're going to fix it right now. We don't use the ing verbs in Spanish the way English does. And this is one of the most common mistakes I see people making all the time, students, people living here, everybody. In English, you use ing verbs everywhere. I like eating, thank you for helping, after eating, I'm interested in learning. So naturally, when you try to speak Spanish, you say things like durmiendo, ayudando, comiendo, aprendiendo. Makes sense, right? No, stop it right now. Don't do it. Spanish doesn't use the ing forms in Spanish ando, iendo terminations in all of those situations. Mostly, the ing ando, iendo in Spanish is reserved only for continuous tenses. Present continuous, past continuous, like I am eating right now, estoy comiendo ahora mismo. That's it. And instead, we normally use the infinitive, the base form. For example, after a preposition in English, ing. In Spanish, infinitive, like I'm interested in learning Spanish. In preposition, estoy interesado en aprender español. Infinitive, aprender, not aprendiendo. Or I left without preposition, saying ing. Anything, me fui sin decir infinitive, nada, not diciendo. So the structures and phrases that go with a preposition in Spanish use the infinitive. The most common ones are, for example, thank you for coming, gracias por venir, infinitive. Or thank you for helping me, helping, ing. In Spanish, gracias por ayudarme. Ayudar, infinitive, me, ella is the pronoun me, ayudarme. Helping me. I'm sorry for, lo siento por. I'm sorry for being late. Lo siento por llegar tarde. Llegar, the infinitive. In Spanish, we don't say to be late. We say to arrive late. So we use the verb llegar. But we cannot say llegando, arriving. Excuse me for, perdona por. Excuse me for bothering you. Perdona por molestarte, infinitive. You also have to be careful with some verbs that in English don't have a preposition, but in Spanish they do. For example, to start, empezar. A, to finish, terminar de, also with infinitive in Spanish. You can say in English, I started learning Spanish, but in Spanish, empecé a, always with a, aprender español. So it works like, I started to learn Spanish. So in English you can use, I started learning or I started to learn. In Spanish only one way is correct, infinitive. Started to learn. Empecé a aprender. Same happens with to finish, terminar de. I finished eating, terminé de comer. We have the preposition de after finish, after terminar. There is one situation, but this is a different case because the meaning is different, in which we can use to start or to finish with the ing in Spanish, like empecé with the verb in ando, terminar with the verb in ando. That is actually correct, but the meaning is different. For example, I could say empecé corriendo y terminé caminando. But now we are talking about the way we started an activity and the way we finished it. So it's like how we started up and how we ended up. I started up running and I ended up walking. We are not expressing that we started an activity. We are talking about the way we did. Another example in which in English you don't use a preposition, but in Spanish we do, with before and after. With before, antes de, and after, después de. In Spanish, they both need de. So if you want to say, before sleeping, I read a little, in Spanish, antes de dormir, infinitive, leo un poco. Or if I want to say, after eating, I brush my teeth. Después de comer, me cepillo los dientes. So they have a preposition in Spanish. But you don't always need a preposition. For example, in Spanish, phrases like I like, me gusta. In English, you can choose I like swimming or I like to swim. In Spanish, me gusta nadar, not nadando, as I hear very often, no. And these kind of verbs like I love, me encanta, I love reading, me encanta leer, infinitive. Or I hate, odio, like I hate getting up early. Odio madrugar. Madrugar just means to get up, to wake up very early. You can also use odio levantarme temprano. I hate getting up early. Levantarme, infinitive and reflexive pronoun, levantarme. Or to avoid, evitar. Like, I avoid drinking alcohol. Evito beber alcohol. Or to mind. I don't mind cleaning. No me importa limpiar. Infinitive. We don't use ing verbs when we use a verb as a subject of a sentence. Like, learning Spanish is really useful. Aprender español es muy útil. Infinitive. And lastly, but really important, we don't use ing verbs to talk about the future, unless it's the future continuous. But when we talk about the normal future, no ing verbs. Please. I see this is probably the one that I hear the most. Like, tomorrow, I'm having dinner with my friends. That's really normal in English. It sounds perfect. In Spanish, sounds terrible. So we don't say mañana cenando con mis amigos. When we want to talk about the future, we use the future. Mañana cenaré con mis amigos. Or going to, mañana voy a cenar con mis amigos. Or I'm buying the house next week. Estoy comprando la casa la próxima semana. No, sounds horrible. Really, compraré la casa la próxima semana. O voy a comprar la casa la próxima semana. Alright, so in summary, unless you are building a continuous tense, like I am eating right now, estoy comiendo, or I was eating, estaba comiendo, or I will be eating, estaré comiendo. Unless you are building one of those, forget ing verbs in Spanish and use the infinitive instead. Alright? So now you know how it works. I hope it was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you were making some of these mistakes and if you found the video useful. If you did, please consider subscribing so you can keep watching more of this. And you can also help other people learn Spanish for free. And any questions, any comments, you know what to do. I will see you in the next one. Hasta luego.